Right, guys, welcome. I think we're gonna get started.
I'm gonna
Thank you
grab water.
all so much. Yeah, no worries, no rush. Thank you all for joining us in our last episode before Christmas. So pretty exciting. Hopefully you've taken advantage of the last couple of ones that we've done, like the CRM campaign setup and the holiday gifting, and it's been helping you prepare for your holiday season and client givebacks and whatnot. So I'm excited if you have any feedback on the previous sessions that we've had, or if there's something you feel that we were missing that you'd like, to lead up to next holiday season to help you prepare. Please, guys, let me know. This session, as always, is for you. So today we have Jasmine Findlay on, one of our very own with Sherwood Mortgage Group. And we're so excited to have her because Jasmine just has this way with mindset and goals and just this go-getter attitude that is super contagious and infectious. And I think we could all use a little bit of her ass-kicking confidence and just no excuses attitudes as we prepare for the new year. So we're gonna listen to Jasmine and her insight on mindset. And then we're also going to look at the MA business plan. So if you guys didn't know, there's a great mortgage architect's business plan in your MA link that you can use to plan out the year ahead and make sure that everything you're doing is intentional and you're doing everything you can to make 2023 the year that you want it to be. And Jasmine's going to add on to that business plan too. So even if you have done it or done it in the past, Jasmine's going to give you some extra tidbits and how she actually applies those things into her schedule and makes it tangible, which I find super helpful. Okay, so quickly, as you always know, I do a fun fact. This surprised me. Actually didn't surprise me because Jasmine is like such a go-getter girl. She spent the summer in the early 2000s fighting fires. So not only is she mortgage and mindset guru, but she's also, I guess you could say, an ex-firefighter.
That's right. Yep. And in the forest of Northern Ontario to boot, right? Like,
Wow. How was that experience?
it was amazing. It was a lot of just tough work, but
Mhm.
it was great. Like it just um you go all in, right? You spend like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks straight on a fire, and your single goal is to put that fire out, right? To minimize, catastrophic damage to the rest of the ecosystems around it. So it was
Yeah.
really, really interesting. I don't think I could do it now, but
Wow.
in my 20s, yeah, no problem. No problem at all.
I don't think I could have done it at 20. So, kudos to you.
Thanks.
All right, let's jump right into it. So, mindset, I'm just going to start off by kind of defining it for us all. Your mindset is really, it's a set of beliefs that shape how you make sense of the world and yourself. It influences how you think, feel, and behave in any given situation. And it means that what you believe about yourself impacts your successes and failures. So, without further ado, Jasmine, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I'm just going to pull up the agenda before so that we all know what's on for today. I'm just gonna speak it today because the slideshow is not as relevant. But so first off, we're gonna go over why mindset matters. Secondly, tips to mastering mindset. Third, most common excuse. I love this one. And then lastly, we're gonna look at the MA business plan. So Jasmine, in your opinion, why does mindset matter?
So mindset is the thing that gets you up in the morning, right? It's the thing that pushes you through those hard days. It's the thing that on Bank of Canada Day announcements, you can answer the phone when it rings. It is the thing that kind of pushes you to do the things that you don't want to do. I have a very I wasn't always like on top of things. Like I have to tell you, I was not always like this. Okay. So if you think that I was like this at 20, for sure not. I wasn't even like this 3 years ago. Something had to change in my life for me to realize that it was my own bullshit excuses that was kind of holding me back. I was like, oh, things are hard. I'm a single mom, and it's really easy to kind of fall into that trap. Like, the world is out to get me. I'll never make it. I'll still be in my parents' basement. I'm almost 40, at that point, and I'm like, I'm still in my parents' basement. I will never get out of this. And eventually you just have to kind of like look yourself in the mirror and say like, you know, you can either take what has been handed to you and like just be like, this is it, I guess. Or you can say, F it, and I want something different. And I've always kind of had the goal. Like, I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but oh no, they're not there anymore. But at the top of that bookshelf, there used to be like a pile of 25 journals that kind of spanned the last 20 years of my life. And they all had these big goals of like coaching, of doing these massive things. And I never took action. And I really started to realize that um, no one was stopping me. Like, no one. Like,
Yeah.
society wasn't stopping it. No one was saying like, oh no, you sit back down, like you don't have a voice, you sit back down. I've had always supportive family and, you know, colleagues and friends. And it was really me, right? And so I said I have to really hone in on this mindset thing, because this is the difference between succeeding and not succeeding. And um, I got into mortgages, and I started off as an office admin making 12 bucks an hour. And you really can't do much with 12 bucks an hour as a single mom. Like, you can't even rent an apartment. Okay. You can't even rent an apartment. And I was like, I want more. Like, I definitely want more. I remember calling in sick to my broker. Like, I was, like I said, an office admin, and he would kind of give me crap about it, because he's like, well, what am I going to do without you? And I'm like, I don't ever want to feel like I can't take time off for my daughter. Right? Like, my daughter is like the one thing in my life that I'm, working to have a better life. Um, and so that's when I started saying, I need to figure out how to change my mindset. And I knew if I changed my mindset, I would change my life. And that's the biggest thing, is that you change your mindset and your life changes. So I had to, and I started looking at mindset from all the angles, right? Like, it wasn't just like, okay, cool, I can read all the Tony Robbins I want. Um, that was great. I would go to Tony Robbins, I would read him, I would listen to YouTube videos, I would read all the books, I would take in all the courses, I would pay for all these, lessons. And I realized that it was the action that was missing. It's just like that law of attraction, right? You can, right? I'm so grateful that I have $1 million. And you can't just sit there and wait for $1 million to fall in your lap. You have to go out and do something. The movie The Secret really kind of left that part out, and everyone's like, well, why isn't $1 million just falling in my lap, right?
Mhm.
The
Yep.
part about actually taking action, right? And the action is the hardest part. Like, that's the steps where, like, those are the things that are hard. And it's supposed to be hard, right? Like, I mean, I think it was when I don't know if it was when I was talking to Dustin or not, but if it was easy, we would all be rich, skinny, and happy, right? But we're not. We're not. And it's not easy. It's really not easy um to get over ourselves, right? Like, yes, I wish it was easier, but it's not easier, right? Like, life is not easy. We know that. This industry is not easy. It keeps changing. The last 2 years might have been kind of easy, right? It felt like, the fish were kind of jumping into our boat for the last 2 years during
Yeah.
COVID. And now we're like, oh crap, like, where are all the fish? Right?
Yeah.
Of course
Now
we're
we
gonna
expect
panic.
that to be the norm. It's not the norm.
It's not the norm at all, right? So anyone who came in like after COVID started, they're like, oh wow, this is like lucrative.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember like my first 2 or 3 years, I only actually really started putting an effort in January of 2020. Okay. I started showing up every day. I started, making like the phone calls to the lenders and understanding, and really, like, I had been in the industry about 2.5, oh no, about 3 years at that point. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a real shot. Right. And then COVID hit, and I was like, oh crap. And at that point, I had a 5-year-old who was now home. And I was like, I can either, just like, okay, that's it. Like, I'm done. Like, this is all I can focus on, or I can do something different. And, as a self-proclaimed introvert, that's when I started being more vocal in the broker groups. And I started being more, I started giving more back to the mortgage industry that had given to me in those groups, because it was easy, right? Like, I didn't have to go to events. No one asked me to go to events. We were just in those groups. Um, and then that momentum started building. And you have to take that first step. right? You have to take that first step. And that first step is usually the hardest. Like, my God. And I always like, kind of like
Mm.
to, parlay it to like a fitness goal, right? We all know like you can't just start doing like 100 push-ups right away.
Yeah.
You have to start with one, right? And it's the same with mindset. It's the same with like success in our industry. It's baby steps, and eventually you're going to stop and look back and you're like, holy crap, like look how far I've come. But it's every day, head down, do the work, and then when you look up, you're going to realize just how far you've come. I keep my head down most of the time. I don't pay attention to Bank of Canada announcements because that messes with my emotions, right? It really does. Like, I know they're coming. I will definitely like hop in to the groups and find out exactly what happened. And then I'm going to get out of them and I'm going to stay off the internet for a couple days, and I'm going to not look at all the horror that's going on. And I'm going to focus again on what I need to do. And that's how
Very,
I've built my mindset.
that's a very interesting perspective because I think it's good that you say that because a lot of us do get sucked into this, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, but like, guess what? It's never fallen. And we've been, afraid of this happening for years, and the market is cyclical and it is what it is. Like, you still got to do your job at the end of the day. And if it's going to offset your mindset to where you're panicking and now you can't do your job with confidence because you're just thinking what ifs, then you're not really doing yourself any favor by concentrating on that.
Right, and it's out of our control. Like, there's so much shit that we focus on that is out of our control. And, for me, like, keeping those blinders off, like, on and ignoring the noise around me has been instrumental. Like, I do not care what is happening around me. I don't. I can't. I really can't, because that's what, like, I'm totally like, I'm like, "Oh, squirrel." Like, "Oh, you wanna suck me into this drama or whatever." I really just keep my head down and focus on what I need to, because otherwise I will lose that momentum, right? And I urge everyone to like ignore the noise. That's one of my biggest mantras, ignore the noise.
Yeah. I think Lisa has something. Lisa, did you want to
She
add?
does, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you, Jasmine. This is right up my alley. I love all the mindset stuff, and
Yeah.
it's not easy to do, let's be honest, right? Because we
No.
all sort of gravitate to what's easy. And you could just be in a bad mood one day and just want to stay there, right? Just get under the duvet.
Mhm.
But I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on with mindset, how much language has a part of it. So how do we speak to ourselves? For an example, like uh, I have to, I have to have a meeting today at 3 o'clock, or I get to have a meeting today at 3 o'clock, right?
Right.
It's reframing, isn't it?
Hmm.
Right. It really is. Yeah. And I find like there's certain people that like the more gentle approach. I like the Gary V, like, get the fuck up approach, right? Like that approach. Like, he's a little bit more, he's strongly right. And I actually have, and if I can, I'll literally just pull my laptop up, but I have a sign above my computer that says show the fuck up. And it reminds me every single day that I need to show up. I can't, no one's standing over me to remind me like to get to work, right? There's work to be done. And for me, I have to constantly be telling myself, I'm not, like, I used to feel overwhelmed, right? I used to feel that was the thing. I'm overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And now I reframe it to I'm abundantly busy, right? And abundance is like, you think of like good things, like, oh, yay, like lots and lots of really great opportunities. Or I reframe, if I'm looking at my client list and it's getting like a little bit too big to handle, I say, thank you for all these opportunities to work with people and change their lives, right?
Mhm.
And you're absolutely right. It's that reframing, because I, like I said, I was not like this all the time. And I still fall back. Like, I mean, so I'm 41. So I've probably spent 37 years of my life being, you know, a different way, not this way. And it's hard to stay in this constant, like, I mean, and I hate the whole idea of that toxic positivity, but I have to constantly feed my mind with good stuff, because it is easy to stay in bed. It is easy to say like, F it, I don't want to do this today. It is easy to feel overwhelmed. And it's easy to use excuses. Like, I use excuses like, I'm an introvert. That's why I don't go to events. No, that's not why you don't go to events. There that's an excuse why you don't go to events. Or I can't handle my client load. I know some brokers who close, 30, 40, 50 more like files a month. It's not like it's not that I can't do it. It's that I'm being a little too easy on myself. And I find that we are too easy on ourselves sometimes, right?
Mhm.
We kind of let ourselves slide. Oh,
Mm,
well, it's Christmas. No
yeah.
worries. Like, right? Oh, I'm not going to work for the next 3 weeks. Um, okay, you could take your foot off the gas for the next 3 weeks for sure. But I guarantee you, January 1st comes along and you're going to be like, oh crap, I lost 3 weeks. It's no
Yeah.
longer like, so it's about really just kind of reframing the things that you say to yourself. And Lisa's right. I get to help all these people. I
Mm,
get to show up on this call, right? Like I get to do all these different things. And it comes down to like, are you doing the thing that you're passionate about? Like, really, I get that like mortgages can be lucrative, but are you really here to help other people? Like, is there a passion behind why you're in this industry? Because I think that will help you not it will help you get out of bed every morning, and it'll help you get through those hard days is when you actually love your job. Like, do
mhm.
you love your job? Right. And I mean, I see a whole bunch of people on here that I recognize, and I see in broker groups, and I know they love their job, right? Like I know that they show up every day because they love helping their clients or other agents. um but I do wonder if everyone is in this industry for the reason because they love what they do. And I understand like not everyone can, maybe not. I'd love to believe that we all should be able to find our passion in life and do that, and like the world would be a happier place. I like, rainbows and unicorns. But are you really here for the right reason? And maybe it is to make hand over fist, like, so much money, right? Maybe that's it. But is that going to keep you going in the hard times, in the down, like in the down markets? And I don't know, maybe it's not. For me, it's about my focus 100% is on helping people. I probably have passed off more deals to bank reps this year because they could do it better than me, because I'm in it to help clients, not to make more money, right? If I help more people, the money will come.
Mhm.
It will. It's inevitable. The universe is set up that way. I'm here to help more people. Um, I think that passion piece really plays a big part in getting people out of bed. Um, and when I kind of parlay it to working out. So I didn't always work out in the mornings. I actually, I wasn't always an early riser, and I'd say the last year and a half I've been waking up early. And I'm going to say that for the first year I would wake up early and just mindlessly scroll Facebook for like an hour, 2, 3 hours sometimes. And I finally, and then I'd be tired during the day. And I had to realize that I needed to work on, some of my physical health because I wasn't showing up properly. And when Sarah and I were talking earlier, I was saying, success doesn't just come from being a great broker. Um, we have to look at why we got into this industry. I didn't get into this industry to work 18 hours a day, every single day. I got in there. Remember, I told you why. I didn't want to get harassed when I had to take a day off because my kid was sick. I wanted to have that time freedom. I wanted to have the ability to go to a Christmas concert in the morning and not worry that everything was going to fall apart and my house was going to be foreclosed on. I wanted to build myself a life that I could completely enjoy doing the things I love to do, and not overworking myself. My kid is 8. She doesn't want me working it until 9 o'clock at night. She wants me here when she gets off the bus. She expects me to be mom at that time. 3:45. I am mom at that time. Um, and when we start to look at success as a holistic approach, and we look at all the different pieces of it, it makes, sometimes it's not our brokering business that's falling apart. It's the other things, right, that we aren't kind of taking care of. So if you're struggling in your business, like, are you sleeping well? Right? If you're not going to sleep, like if you're not sleeping well, of course it's going to be a struggle to get on these phone calls every day. Of
Mhm.
course it's going to be, you're going to feel overwhelmed by your client load, right? Of course you're not going to take that extra step and want to call those lenders and attend those events.
Mhm.
You're just not. All those little pieces all fit in. And whenever I'm struggling or feeling overwhelmed in my brokering business, I take a step back and I'm like, where else is there an issue? Because it's usually there. I know how to broker, and I guarantee most of the people on this call know how to broker, but it's all the other little pieces, right? Are you
Mhm.
sleeping well? I think it's about 140 days without drinking now. And I have to say, that was a catalyst. That was a huge, huge catalyst in changing a whole bunch of other habits that were really keeping me down, right? I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking. I started working out with a trainer, and now like I wake up and I'm like I wake up at 4:45, and I love to work out in the morning, and I've actually added second workouts in the day. I eat better. I just have all this energy, right?
Good for you.
And I had to really realize that there was other pieces that were falling apart.
Absolutely. I think that's very observative of you. I think that's more than most of us can really look inside ourselves and feel maybe the reason why I'm not doing as well as I am is because I'm not going to bed on time, or it's because I keep going out too much during the week with my friends, or things like that. We don't really realize how it's all relative.
Yeah, it really is interconnected. And I mean, I sacrifice a lot of stuff too, right? If I wake up at 4:45, you have to imagine I go to bed fairly early, right? I
Mhm.
go to bed at 8:30 at night. So, I'm a single mom. I sacrifice, going out with my girlfriends or going out on dates even, right? Like, I mean, a lot of times I'm like, I don't know if I'm willing to like change up my schedule to go on a date, right? Because I really love my routine, and it's become really key to my overall success. And um that routine, that morning routine for myself, allows me. And what do I do at 4:45? I basically, I work out and I get a whole bunch of personal development in, because that is um so I just saw Glenn's comment. I just saw I had to kind of pull in all this great personal development because it keeps my mind in check. Like, I'm going to tell you, I don't always feel like waking up at 4:45. I really don't. Like, it sucks to wake up that early sometimes. Especially if you've had a hard night, right? Anyone with small children or anyone who just has trouble sleeping. It's hard to wake up that early. And but that morning routine is so key. I get probably more done before 8 o'clock in the morning than most people get done in the day, because I have that heavy focus on moving my body, keeping my mind in the right spot, and and just kind of like making sure my day is prioritized. So in the morning, I choose three things that I prioritize in the day, right? These are the three tasks that I need to do today. And I kind of put it out there. I also rewrite my goal every day. And that's important, right? Like, so I look at this business plan and it's great. There's a lot of numbers on it. It's very logical, right? It's very like it's it's very numbers based, but I want you guys to start putting it like an emotion to it, right? And we'll talk about that when we talk about the business plan. But it's really just about, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better, and like find how where you need to work on. Like, what part of your life do you need to work on? Right? Is it quitting drinking? Right? Is it going to bed earlier? Is it taking, like, saying no to more things? Is it saying yes to more things?
Mhm.
Right? Like, I sometimes say yes to too many things or say no to the wrong things. Like, I should be saying yes to certain things and no to other things. Even as a mom, like, I had to scale back. Like, I used to put my kid in like 7 or 8 activities a week.
Oh
And I'm
God.
like, this, right? Like, on top of everything else. And I'm like, no, I got to keep her busy. And I'm like, no, I don't. No, COVID really kind of showed me that, right? We couldn't do
Yeah.
anything for a while. And I was like, I don't need to keep her busy. That, like, she needs to learn how to chill out a little bit. I even brought her to, like, our lender convention. I brought
Yeah.
her to the Canadian Mortgage Symposium. Like, I brought her with me. And I guarantee she was bored, but she learned how to figure out how to, like, deal with her boredom during those events, right? Which
Yeah.
was super important.
Something that
Yeah.
most kids don't have to learn how to deal with nowadays at all, because they always have a device to play with and keep them, zonked out.
Yeah, and I feel like, it kind of like it translates to us too, right? Like, are afraid to not be busy. Like I've been coaching agents for about a year now, and I get some agents who are like, well, I sit at my desk for 8 hours whether I have anything to do or not. I was like, what? Like, that's terrible. Like, I'm like, I have a shit ton to do and I don't sit at my desk for 8 hours. Like, what are you doing in that 8 hours? You know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs sometimes. I'm like, whoa, like, back up. Your success does not come down to sitting at your desk for 8 hours.
Oh
We just
boy.
have to find different things. And one of the big tips I have is time blocking, right? And if anyone knows about time blocking, it's really about like blocking off some sections of your day that you work on certain things. And to tie that into the business plan, like, you write down all these numbers and you look at it once and then you forget about it. You need to start writing in where you can get all that stuff done, right? But you have to time block. And I literally will turn my phone off. And people are like, "Oh my God, you're a broker who turns her phone off?" Yes. My phone is almost exclusively in do not disturb when I'm time blocking. I may put a client who I'm waiting for a phone call into my favorites list so they can call through if they need to, or a lender that I'm working with at that time. But my phone, I know it's probably shocking to people. Like, "Oh, how could you?" I literally put my phone in do not disturb because I will not get stuff done if my phone's ringing. I don't know how you guys do it. Like when you're trying to work on an activity for an hour and then you see all these, like, even on my, like, I have a Mac, I use Apple for everything, so all my text messages come
Yeah.
through. I have to turn that off. I have to turn off the notifications for my emails. I'm super distractible. The only way I get stuff done is by blocking off that time. This is the time that I am doing this. That's it. Not checking the email from Bridgewater, not checking the text from so and so. I'm just doing this. And I get it done, right? Like, how many of you have a to-do list? You've been wanting to upgrade your website and you've been wanting to learn how to do this and you've been wanting to like be more on social, and God, you should probably go live on Facebook every once in a while. And you never find the time, right? Is
Mhm.
your day truly set up for success? And time blocking is truly the key to do that. Time block the little chunks of time, right? And make that a point. Like, you would never miss an appointment with a client. Don't miss these appointments for yourself. If
That's
you
true.
need to take an hour to like work on your website today, like, look at your schedule, block in that hour, and that is an appointment to yourself and to your future, right? It's an appointment for your future you. And
Yes.
like, don't discredit your future you. Today's you is building that future you.
Yeah, you're investing in your future, right?
Yes, absolutely. I spend Sunday, so my week starts Sunday.
Mm.
I use Saturday as a rest day. I don't do any work. I don't like, I have a piece of paper that I keep in the house, like on the kitchen table, where I throw any thought about work onto that piece of paper. So it's like brain dump time. And I just clean my house and I spend time with my daughter and I do whatever on Saturday. I take a nap, and without guilt, like without any guilt, I take a nap. And we watch movies. But Sunday is day one of my week, and I prep my week. So I prep all my food for the week, and I prep my calendar. So I obviously use my phone calendar, and I set up all my calendar with alarms. So there's an alarm because, again, I'm very distractible. So if I don't have an alarm telling me I should be on a Zoom call at 1 o'clock, I
Mhm.
won't be on that Zoom call, right? Um,
Yeah,
then
you
I
guys.
have like an actual passion planner, right? So then
Wow.
I block off all my stuff during the week and I block it all off. Then I know where the things are that I can like add in, right? That's where I know I can add in a chunk of 1 hour for time blocking. This is where I'm going to work on my website, or this is where I'm going to create content, or
Mhm.
this is where, oh, okay, cool. I have 2 spots open that I can talk to a lender this week. Um, and I fit those in and I schedule those out. And it's really important because, like I said at the beginning, no one's telling us to do our work. Like, no one's over our shoulders, right? Most of us work from home.
Yeah.
And like, I could literally lay in bed all day and no one would know. No one. Unless I was, scheduled to be on a call like this, and then you would know. But otherwise, no one would know what I'm doing all day. And it's just so that self-discipline becomes super important in our jobs, because how do you get out of bed if no one's telling you to get out of bed, right? And I went through like months and months of, I'm someone who suffers from, or I am someone who has previously suffered from seasonal effectiveness disorder. I'm in the process of hacking it this year. I'm trying everything possible. So I'm not going to identify with someone who has SAD this year. But for 40 years, I experienced seasonal effectiveness disorder, and I would like lose like weeks, if not months, of my life every
Yeah.
single winter.
You
Every
just
winter,
kind of
like
lean into it, right? And allow it to be an excuse instead of giving yourself maybe a little tough love. And it's like, no, I need to still get up at the same time every day, stick to my routine and power through it.
yeah, and and like the piece there was I had to realize that my body was like not working for me. I wasn't eating properly, I wasn't sleeping properly. I mean, I was drinking a little bit, probably a lot too much. I wasn't super healthy. And I just kind of kept going through life thinking that like, well, you think that as you get older, you realize like you need to be more healthy and not less healthy. And it was a real kick in the butt to like finally realize like I am the reason I am here. Like,
Hmm.
and when we start realizing like no one else put you in the position you're in, right? No one put the bottle of wine in front of you every night. No one did, no one didn't keep you on a healthy eating pattern. No one forces you to have the deep fried food every day. Like, where you're looking for, we want to just make excuses for it all. And I had to take full responsibility and say, okay, these are the issues. Like I was super tired. I would nap like sometimes twice a day. Like that's terrible. Like a baby. Like
Wow.
I'd have my morning nap and my afternoon nap. Like when the hell would I broke her, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to stop doing that. Like, so why am I so tired? So I started working with a naturopath and I started working with a nutritionist. And take the time to find out what is holding you back physically or emotionally or mentally. If you need to work with a counselor, work with a counselor, right? If there's something like, if you have self-limiting beliefs, work with a coach. All those pieces come into play, right? But we got to take responsibility. No one's coming to save you. They're not. Like no one is coming to save you. So you have to do the work. And the work is fucking hard. It is. It's no, it really is. Like it's like it sucks to spend my whole Sunday prepping healthy meals, right? Like I don't. I love pizza and cheesecake and chocolate, like just like everyone else. But I know that those foods do not give me the energy to do this every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I can't show up for my clients. I can't show up for my coaching clients. I can't show up for the industry as a whole without taking care of myself. And that was a big realization, right? When you were like, okay, cool. This is one area that I do have control over, though,
Hmm.
right? Like it's my fault, but I can fix it, right? Which is awesome. Um, and I'm a big fan of scheduling stuff in. So like my day is pretty much scheduled to the max, right? 4:45 wake up. By 5 o'clock, I'm working out. By 6 o'clock, I'm doing personal development. And it's scheduled and like almost militaristically,
Hmm.
right? That's how I get stuff done, right? Like, and I have alarms. I probably have 40 alarms on my phone. You know, 7:45, make sure my daughter's up. 8:05, she needs to be dressed. 8:15, she needs to have her snow pants on. 8:24, we need to leave for the bus. Like it's all routine that way. And it's some people are like, how do you live like that? I live like that because that's the only way I'm successful. Right? If I have a good solid control over the things I can control,
Hmm.
right? This is the thing I can control is my life and how I live it and my responses to the things around me. Um, and so that's what I do, right? I schedule the shit out of my life. It's super scheduled. And I mean, I'm going to tell you, I still have fun with my daughter, right? We still get to do one or two things cool a week. She's still in activities during the week. I want to show up more for my daughter as I had taken a good year and really started focusing on like the money goal of brokering. Like, okay, I want to make this amount. And I forgot again why I was in the industry. And now my goal is not so much about money. It's about freedom, right? It's about time freedom, location freedom. I want to be able to, have my daughter with me at these events if I have to. I want to be able to, be at the Christmas concert if I want to. I want to be able to shut down my business at 3:45 when she comes off the bus, or at least shut it down, like, for the most part. I'm still answering emails and stuff. But I plan my day out with those in mind.
Mhm.
My goal, my big goal is to have all this time to spend with my daughter. And to do so, like, you know, with ease and not having to worry about bills, right? So the money does play an aspect. We know that money plays an aspect in our happiness. It really does. Trust me, I'm way happier now than I was when I was broke and homeless. There's right, there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
But it's not the driving force, right? Like, you have to really understand what your why is. Why are you here? What do you really want? And I could almost bet that at least 99% of you are in this industry because you wanted to be home with your kids more often, or you wanted to be home with your spouse, or you love to help people and change their lives, or something. There's some really good why behind why you're in this industry. And if you focus on that why every single day and you keep that front of mind, it will keep you going every day.
Hmm. I love that. Okay, let's change gears, guys, and look at the MA business plan. So I'm going to show you where to find it, and then we're going to briefly go over it. But more importantly, I love how Jasmine actually applies tangible tips to it and scheduling along with it and actually putting it into action. So give me a second and I'll share my screen. And we're going to go into MA link to show you where to find. All right, so this is our MA link. And in case you didn't know, the business plan exists under the information center up here, and then just documents and forms. And if you haven't been here, there's quite a few helpful resources as well, but besides just this. So take a look through, but one area to go to is the business planning tools. And you have it right here, the business planning tool. So you can just go ahead and download that. And it'll be a fillable PDF. So I've already got a version of it open that I can pull up for you guys. Right here. So as Jasmine did mention, it is very numbers based, right? So Jasmine, how did you find approaching this and filling it in and then applying it to your calendar really?
So the one thing that I did notice is when you start breaking down your income goal, the numbers are actually not as daunting as you think, right? Like, that was the biggest thing for me, because you're like, okay, I want to make, let's say 150 grand this year, or 250 grand, and you start breaking that down, and you're like, okay, like, that's actually manageable. Like, and I'm in Northern Ontario, so my market, it's a little bit smaller, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the purchase price, like the home prices are a little bit smaller than GTA and other areas. But it still comes down to like 4 to 8 files a month. Like, 4 to 8 files a month. Really? Like, that seems like peanuts, right?
Yeah.
So when you start breaking it down, at least it gives you some hope. I'm going to tell you, it's going to give you some hope, because it does show you that it's much more tangible than you think. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I have a great tool. I don't know if you guys can they oh yeah, because you're sharing the screen.
I can
I
stop.
have this tool. Yeah. So this is a board that I created. So it has backlog and then done. And I color code because I have a couple different streams. So I have my mortgage business, and I have the Successful Agent Facebook group, and I have a coaching program that I run. So they're different colors for me. And then this was for Tip Tuesday, just so I can add you in there, Sarah. But so what I do is so when I'm looking at my goals, I'm going to break them down into smaller chunks. So I'm going to write them down on a piece of paper, and then I'm going to break them down. Like, okay, like, if I need a new website, it's not just building a new website. Like, you probably have to get a domain, and right? So you have to break it down in smaller chunks. And I put all those chunks on this backlog. And then in my time blocking, I will say, work on, like, my website. So I'll take one of these chunks and I'll move it over here, and that's what I'm doing at this time. And it feels good to kind of move the stuff over to this side. and I'll kind of review it every Sunday when I set up my week. And I'll put up all the things that I need to do for the week. And it seems really daunting, but a lot of these are like, it might be a phone call. Like it might literally be a phone call, or it might be like, post this on this day. So it's not super daunting, but I break everything down into small bite-sized pieces. And then it's visual in my office. So I constantly see that it's there. And in my time blocking during the week, I will literally say, work on, XYZ that's on that board, right? So you have to break down that goal into bite-sized pieces. So if you want like to double your income next year, it's not just like getting double the clients. You're probably doing way like a lot of other stuff. Maybe you're starting to do webinars. So you probably have to learn how to do a webinar and like what platform to use to do the webinar. All those things can be a piece that you add into your time blocking time. So in conjunction with time blocking, I use this board to kind of keep it front of mind as to what I need to do each day.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that it actually feels good too when you get to move one piece of paper over? Like it's a physical sense of accomplishment?
It is, yeah, and it's like big and on my wall, so it's very much like in my face. It also allows me, like, it also kind of kicks my butt a bit because sometimes I'll walk in my office and I'm like, okay, cool, I've dealt with all my files, I'm good, and I'm like, I have nothing to do, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh right, there's a whole bunch of stuff in that backlog section, right?
Right.
But it's encouraging to move. It's just like that crossing off on your to-do list, right? This is just a little bit more of a visual thing. I'm very, very visual. So like my whole office is kind of set up visually. So
I can
it's
see that.
constantly in my, yes, constantly in my face, right? Even my client stuff is all set up very visual. I have a big, huge whiteboard. I
Wow.
move my clients from like pending to active to like follow up, all kind of stuff. So it's for me, it just because if it's written on a piece of paper, I can shove that paper in my desk, right? These boards are on my wall and they're a little bit harder to like, I literally would have to just not go in my office to avoid them.
And guys, this might look different for you. Like Jasmine said, she's extremely visual. I am too. And I personally get it. Like I love the whole checklist. I have one sitting right here in front of me. And physically checking items off. It really does feel good and it keeps you motivated. But there's many different ways to apply that. I also use it in my calendar. I set a million reminders for myself throughout every day. And that's my Outlook calendar. So you can do this digitally. You can also do this within Velocity if you're using, the tasks and the workflows in the calendar in there. So this does not have to be in the exact way, shape, and form that, Jasmine's found works for her, because each of us, we have different preferences. We get motivated by different things. So maybe you're more, you want things to more so automatically happen digitally in your phone. So it's really up to you kind of how you take that and really apply it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it's like, and it took me a few different tries, right? Like, at first I would use a notebook and just have a to-do list, but I found that the to-do list, I would have like some stuff for brokering and some stuff for coaching. So I was like, how do I differentiate? So I started with two notebooks and I'm like, oh shoot, like I'd forget one notebook. And so it was all trial and error.
Mhm.
And I don't, as long as you're constantly like working at bettering yourself, I think you're just going in the right direction, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It's all about finding what works for you, taking the time to apply different things that you learn. I'm constantly learning about different ways to better myself, better my business. And I'm always open to it. Like if someone's like, oh hey, why don't you try this? Cool. If that works for me, I'll absolutely try it.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
I think to your point too about planning more than just the number side of it. This second page of the business plan is great for that too. So defining, what is going to be the vision? What's your mission statement? What strategies are you going to employ? So, am I taking up coaching? Am I trying to join in on additional networks, any business planning chapters or whatnot? So this is a good way to actually measure out how you're tangibly going to achieve those results. marketing goals as well, because marketing is part of our sales, right? So very important to make sure that we're focusing on that, especially with, the market we're experiencing right now. It's a little bit slow. So now is kind of the perfect time, especially, things are slow over the holidays, to plan out our next year and see, okay, what are our business goals and what are we going to implement this year to achieve them? And, maybe we're picking up more on our sales and our technology use and using more of those client relationship management tools that are already there for us, that we just need to, take the time to turn on.
Yeah, and those are awesome tools, because I think a lot of us feel, I remember, like, before pre-COVID, like November to maybe February was like slower, right? It wasn't, and especially again up in no one wants to move in that time. Like, it's cold, it's terrible, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it'd be kind of slower, and that's when we do like all our training, and we'd all go on our vacations, and we'd all kind of do our, that's when we kind of hone in on all those like other pieces that we didn't really have time to do during like busy summer market.
Mhm.
And anyone who's telling me that they're not busy right now, I'm like, awesome. Like, that's a great opportunity. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. I'm like, no, it is, because you can hone in on your client experience, your database, your CRM. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, you have so much opportunity right now to like really figure out how you want to run your business, and you have the time. You're not busy. Maybe you're not like doing the same thing that you've done for the last 2 years, but you can keep yourself fully busy. Talk to lenders, talk like there's so much stuff you could be doing if you're not busy brokering right now.
Mhm.
So much to get you like in the right position. So when spring market opens, I mean, people are still buying houses. They really are. Like they're still gonna want it. Like, people are gonna still separate and need new places to live. People are
Yeah.
gonna transfer for work. People are gonna like, get engaged and want to move out of their parents' basement. Like, there's still gonna be people wanting to buy. There's gonna be refis and renewals and switches. Oh my God, the amount of switches I've been getting is insane, right? Like, just people like, get me out of these variables. There's lots
Mhm.
of opportunity though. So don't think that this is like, not a time when you can be successful. Success may just look different this time around. Maybe you can get yourself so prepared that when spring market comes and rates kind of, settle a little bit, you're going to be so set to rock it that you're going to be thankful that it was quiet for the last 4 months,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Planning time.
reframe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reframe, reset. Exactly. And whatever you're doing today is gonna attribute to your results in 2, 3, 4 months from now. So it's important that we're always working towards our future.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are an industry that like gets paid 2, 3 months later, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
it is important, when you have slow periods, um, you know, I understand, like, you have to understand that it is, we do get paid like a couple months later. So you do have to kind of plan that ahead of time. So we should always be thinking about our future self, right? More so than almost any other industry. Like, we don't get paid like every Friday, like unless you're closing deals every Friday, obviously. But I mean, you're not like, it's not like guaranteed, right? Oh, I could be sick this week and still get paid, right?
No,
It's
it's all on
different.
you.
So we just have to plan stuff a little bit differently. But this is a great opportunity. Like, go to all the events, go to all the trainings, take all the courses, hire the coach, spend some time in the groups, learn all your lender products. Like, shit, there's so much you could be doing right now. If you're twiddling your thumbs, call me. I will give you a list of at least 20 things that you could be doing to keep you busy. Well, don't call me. It's probably in do not disturb. So
Yeah,
message
yeah.
me.
I don't know. Maybe post it on your Facebook group.
I will. Yes,
Post
I
that list
will.
there.
Yeah.
So what is that Facebook group that you're running for mindset you were talking about?
So I have a group called the Successful Agent. It is focused on mortgage agents, and it is business building and mindset. So we don't do underwriting questions. I feel like there's enough really great groups out there, like the Newbie Group and I Love Mortgage Brokering, and the MA Nation Roundtable group. Like, there's so many groups that people can use for underwriting questions. This is solely based on business building. So we do mindset stuff. We do, pretty much everything. And we're launching a whole bunch of different stuff for the new year as well. So But that's a great group. Send a like find it on Facebook, and I'll make sure to add you in to it after this call, obviously.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm just going to quickly go over the takeaway tip, but if you guys have questions for Jasmine, now is the time. She's given us a lot to think about. I think a nice little kick in the butt. I know I certainly took some things away from this, such as morning workouts, Sarah. Let's try and get back on those. So takeaway tip this week, and guys, again, it's a short month with this being the last session of the month. So it's a smaller list of people in the draw for this month's prize, which I'm going to draw soon because we only had a couple sessions this month. So good chance of winning $200 dinner out on us. All you have to do is post in the MA Nation Roundtable Facebook group. Talk about, maybe your mindset or goals for the new year, or just something valuable that Jasmine said today that you learned. Like I really liked her idea about the physical chart and with the papers and being a visual person. Anything it is that you took away from today, we'd love to hear about it, and try to make sure to hashtag Tip Tuesday. Awesome. Okay. Well, I don't see any questions coming in unless there's anything left.
There was one from Jeff earlier, suggestions on taking on the overwhelmed mindset. So I still feel overwhelmed sometimes. And I like to do what's called brain dumps. So I just like dump everything out onto a piece of paper. And then what I do is I prioritize it. So I'll like kind of chunk it up into like, this is brokering, this is coaching, this is that. And then I'll prioritize that, and then I'll schedule it in. Right? I schedule it in. Okay. So then it goes on my board, right? It goes on my backlog, and I'm going to schedule that in. Okay. So today I'm going to work on, I feel like I'm overwhelmed that I need to post content or go live or whatever. So this is where I'm going to schedule it into my calendar. So that's really where it's the brain dump, right? Because I find that with like, when you feel overwhelmed, it just feels so chaotic in your head that you really can't, like, you can't even think of like, what's the first step to take. So dump it all on a piece of paper, prioritize it. Sometimes you'll notice there's a trend. Like there might be like, oh, I need to eat healthier. Oh, I need to work out more. And you'll notice that there's like, oh, okay, maybe I should take notice of my physical health, right? So you'll notice some trends, but then schedule that in, right? Once it's scheduled in, you'll feel less overwhelmed because you're like, okay, cool. I know on Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, I'm going to deal with that I was overwhelmed with today. So that's my biggest tip on that overwhelm piece. And then what effect would you say a different mindset has had on your business? It allows me to show up differently for my business.
Yeah.
So it really does. It allows me to show up. I used to be like the type of person who like messy bun, jogging pants, hoodie, and then I would like just crawl back into bed like if I didn't have anything going on, which we all, like I said, I gave you a list of a whole bunch of stuff we all could be doing. But I wouldn't do that on my like I wouldn't do that stuff in my business, right? I would just be like, well, I don't have any active files right now, so I can go and watch The Office that I've watched 50 million times already, and lay in bed and sleep, right? So it was yeah, that's what's changed. I show up differently, and you know what, it's had a spillover effect in my life. I show up differently as a mom, I show up differently as a friend, I show up differently as a coach, I show up differently as a daughter.
Yeah.
I just show up differently. And I continue to grow as well because you start really respecting you start learning the things you need to say no to and the things you need to say yes to. And sometimes that's people, sometimes that's different things that you don't normally want to do. But yeah, I just show up differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Elisa has a good point. Different mindset would give you much more productivity and positivity. You attract, this is important, the things and people you want to work with. It's all about our energy. We meet each other's energy before we meet each other, right? So what energy are you giving off? Is it one that someone wants to do business with, or is it one of someone, who is barely getting by?
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Before I changed my mindset, I was constantly desperate for clients. I was constantly like, how do I get my clients? I don't have enough clients. I would feel threatened by like seeing other agents posting like ads in my area. Like I was like, oh my God, there's people like who are also working in this area. Like there's not enough work for us. And when I switched my mindset to like an abundant mindset and realized that there was enough work for all of us, there's enough work for, the 30,000, agents or whatever we have in Canada now. There is enough for all of us. I started attracting, I constantly attract what I need. I don't look for business. It just comes to me. And yes, I have 6 years in the industry. But I am terrible at following up in my CRM. Like I'll slap my own hand for that. I'm terrible for that. I'm terrible for like a lot of stuff that we should be doing. My mindset allows me to attract the people I need when I need it. And that belief that there's enough out there allows me to not have that desperation where you're like, oh my God, I need. The universe does not answer you to when you like what you need. It doesn't. It answers you differently with a different vibration when you're like, there's enough. I will get what I need when I need it. The universe will always provide for me. And I know it sounds like for some people it's gonna be like, ooh, this is kind of voodoo, like woohoo stuff. It really does work though. Like it really does when you change your mindset and you truly believe that the universe will provide for you and you give back, right? It's all about, you do have to give back. You have to give that good energy. The universe isn't going to the witch. Thanks, Glenn. The universe isn't going to give you what you need if you're like, oh, great, I have this like, crappy client again, and you're constantly complaining that there's not enough, and like you're posting rates all the time, and you're like, why do I only get rate shoppers? I'm like, because you're attracting rate shoppers. Like, why are you in the broker groups bitching about your rate shoppers when all I see on your Facebook page are rates, right? Like you're attracting what you're getting.
Right.
So yeah, if you put out that really good energy, yeah, it's true, right? You put out that good energy, you're going to get it back. But you do have to, like, you have to show up differently. It's a different vibe that you show up. It's one that just understands that there is enough for all of us, right?
Right.
I'm not in competition with any of you. You're my colleagues, right? We got to go after the banks a little bit, but I mean, even the bank reps, I'm friends with an RBC rep because she does great for my mobile home clients. I can't beat her rates, right? So I send my mobile home clients to my RBC rep. She's no longer my competition. She's my colleague, right? And we have to think differently, and in all aspects of our business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, guys, I'm going to try and wrap it up there because we're almost at the hour. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you've enjoyed this first, half of the season of Tip Tuesday. We'll be back in January. We're going to have a call challenge, and we're really excited to pick back up. And if you guys have any suggestions for topics, as always, or feedback, I would love to hear them. So have a happy holidays, everyone, and spend some nice time with family, friends, relaxing, whatever it may be doing. And we look forward to coming back together in the new year. Don't forget to get your takeaway tip of the week posted on MA Nation for your chance to win $200.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye, guys. Thank you.